Uh, I got nothing. Who wants to? Someone else want to start the bit?
Cyberpunk
I
is
don't know what
trash.
the bit is.
Cyberpunk is trash.
There
Apparently.
we go.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
I started it for you.
Cyberpunk is.
All right,
trash.
that's it.
This is the only. This isn't the only time, but this is the only time where the unrelease of a game was like hilarious to me.
The unreleased.
Yes.
The unrelease.
It's a great way to describe it.
It's been delayed again. Now give it back.
I was talking about this with Aiden, but Grant, I mentioned like a picture of like some kid who's like holding out his hand and said, "Actually, Cyberpunk 2077 is delayed. Give it back." And then that became real.
Yeah, I think you sent us that.
Yeah.
Because I have seen that. They just all said nope, and it's just weird to see this happen.
Why is it that like not even like it's like the whole like next gen shit fuckery has been so bad ever since like the release of the consoles, but now it's also like extending to the games? Well, I guess not really because it's just the one game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything that I've heard from about the consoles has been, like, good, other than that you can't exactly get one right now, but
Mm-hmm.
other than that, like, this is the only problem that I've been hearing about.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't say it's not even really an issue with the new consoles. It's the old consoles.
True.
Yeah.
Well, it's not
from what
it's
I've
not a
heard
console
is that-
issue specifically though. It's more of like the game itself, or I guess I should say
Yeah,
the
but
port
it's
of it.
it's much more defined on what is I guess is now considered last gen consoles.
Well, it's because they're not making it for it. Like, they absolutely could if they put in the work, but they
But they
clearly
didn't.
didn't.
They either weren't given enough time or they didn't care. And I can't tell which is which.
I would say it's probably both, but more of the less time.
Yeah, I was gonna say it could
Because
be
I feel I feel like they would have put it in a working state if they had more
Yeah,
time.
the fact that like the developers of Cyberpunk were not happy with all of the bullshit that came with actually making the game, I can see being the thing that was motivating for, okay, let's just get it out and worry about fixing it later. Which is a terrible mindset for games, by the way.
I mean, that's
But
like the mindset that everyone has now.
Well, I
Everyone
mean,
does
I guess it's fine. It's a fine mindset in itself, but like, this is
Well,
kind of, this one's a little, not so great.
Not gonna lie though, I kind of wish that companies would actually do this more often if they release a game that's just utter trash.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I
Like,
kind of
hey,
wish that.
see this steaming pile of garbage fire dumpster? Let me take it back.
Like,
But the problem is
with
that
Battlefront
refunds
2,
are
I wish that.
becoming an issue.
What?
The problem is that refunds are becoming an issue, and it's just like further
Are
adding.
they?
Well, at least I know there was a thing where CD Projekt was having some issues with Sony specifically. I think more so the company than the refunds.
I think it was more so that they said that they would do refunds before telling Sony anything.
Yeah,
yeah,
because
that's
it's
what it
not
was.
up to them. It's up to Sony and Xbox, which they're now both of them are now giving full refunds.
Yeah, I don't think it's so much that Sony didn't want to give refunds. It was just that
It's
CD
not up
Projekt
to
Red was like,
it's not up to them. Yeah.
yeah, it was just like CD Projekt Red was just kind of like, hey, they're gonna give refunds. We're like, we never talked about
Yeah,
this.
so it's just kind of like CD Projekt just making things worse where they don't need to be.
Yeah.
This is not as fun of a trash fire. Is this a fun trash fire to watch?
Oh yeah, it absolutely is. I'm
It
having
is,
a ton of fun.
especially because I can actually play the game
Yeah, because
and have been
Yeah, and you
enjoying
suck
it.
for that.
yeah, it's just been the old consoles. Well, actually,
I'm sitting back playing Cyberpunk 2077 and RTX Ultra like a boss, and it's great.
And you have like how much money poured into that computer to run it?
Not as much as most computers.
Mm-hmm.
It was
But still.
just over 1,000. So
Yeah, just over 1,000. That's pretty cheap
Yeah.
for a decent gaming computer.
But still, I don't want to have to pay $1,000 in order to just run a game fine.
True.
well, it's not that it's running fine. I'm running it at the top of the line.
Yeah.
Mhm. We should also
Still.
emphasize the fact that it's not you have an old console, so therefore that's the problem. Like, it's more of a, yeah, they didn't make it so that it's playable on old consoles. Because I can imagine
least,
just
like,
how many
Black
people...
Ops-
Yeah, I can just imagine how many people are just, like, in pain as, like, everyone else. It's the picture of fucking Squidward sitting in his home looking out the window as SpongeBob and Patrick are playing with each other. Where it's just, like, they're playing they're playing Cyberpunk and they just kind of have to sit there and sulk.
I mean, like, Black Ops 3 was playable on, like, a 360 and PS3, and even though it did have some, like, weird downgrades, like, some of, like, the cool, like, futuristic trucks turned into just, like, normal vans, at least that made the game run.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't just, like, broken. They actually took the time to make it run fine on there. And look good for a 360 PS3 game.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I mean, you can do it, just actually, like, take the time instead of just going like, okay, here's this game, and just dump it all into an Xbox One when it can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Damn, that shit sucks.
I'm having a fun time.
All that matters is that Aiden's having a fun time.
Yes, he's the only one that matters here.
Yep, because... Yep.
Sure, let's go with that.
Alright, so welcome. We are now loading the award-winning podcast. With you always, we are Dranks, Freebiy. Every fucking time. I'm so glad that I didn't, like, spit out my tea when I did that. And Clover, of course. Let's not forget him as well.
No weird sound this
I
time.
think Aiden has, like, stolen your shtick at this point, because it was always you that did the weird sound.
Yeah, probably. He does it a lot louder, though.
Uh-huh.
And loud equals funny, we all know that.
I'm more creative with mine.
Grant has his refined taste, while Aiden is just the
Yes.
raw, get it out there.
Aiden is just loud.
Loud equals funny.
Everyone knows loud equals funny. Yeah. How have you guys been?
Playing a lot of Devil May Cry, I can tell you that.
Oh, fucking yeah, you have.
Maybe too much.
At this point, you finished 2 entire series?
Yes.
Yeah.
Stop.
No.
Just stop.
Well, in his defense, DMC is actually... The first 2 games are fairly short.
The first 2 games, it took me maybe a combined 15 hours to beat the first 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, maybe a little longer than that, but I guess 3 was the 3 was decently long.
Yeah.
Longer than the others, too. But it took me 3 to beat 2. 3 hours to beat 2.
Mm-hmm. And then you can go back and spend another 3 hours and play the other character.
No, I would not touch that game again with a 10-foot pole.
I love that, like, every time I see things when it comes to, like, the discussion of how bad DMC2 is, it's always, like, it is literally as bad as as people say it is.
Yes. But yeah. I'll talk about that later.
We'll get to that eventually. I say we should probably start with our cutscenes because we, yet again, rechanged the order of the podcast to make things a little bit shorter. So that...
We thought that 3.5 hours was too long.
So we cut it down to half. Just about.
Some crazy person thought that it was too long. That crazy person was me.
No, you were just the crazy one to actually speak your mind. I think we were all thinking it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I told Aiden this earlier, but I was literally just like, oh man, I can't wait for the podcast. I'm not looking forward to sitting down for that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that yesterday.
I'm really glad I actually said something.
Yeah. You said it, and I was like, yeah, that's it. Then we need to do something about that. We won't explain things. We'll just let the way that we actually approach talking about our shit say that.
Yeah.
So, we will be talking about some media and videos first and foremost. Who wants to start? And I volunteer you.
What are we talking about?
Cutscene time.
Oh. Okay.
What the fuck have you been watching?
I've been watching this thing called The Mandalorian Season 2. but we're not going to talk about it here. Go listen to our other podcast, Wrist Rocket.
Oh.
You did that way quicker than I thought for some. I don't know why I thought you would go for that for longer.
No, I'm straight to the point.
That's
We just, unless it's gaming related, we will no longer bring up Star Wars on this podcast because I felt like we did that a little too much.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
unless if it's strictly gaming related, it is on the Wrist Rocket podcast.
Every single thing that we're doing now is quickfire.
Really?
Apparently.
No. I just wanted to get that out of the way.
We had shitpost edition, now we had speed edition.
Speedrun.
Speedrun podcast.
just don't cheat the speedrun.
How fast can we get through it?
So besides The Mandalorian, there's this classic show
good.
that just got its 18th season called Red vs. Blue Zero. And I think it's actually really
It's not the
hype.
0th season?
Shut your mouth. I think it's actually really good. It's only going to get 8 episodes this season, which is kind of sad. And they're on 6 of 8 right now.
Why does that seem to be the trend with like every show now? It's just
I
8
don't
episode
know.
seasons.
But the sad part is that it's still the average length of an RVB episode. So, but I can kind of understand it because it's the production quality on that, for the most part, is really high. Like this is the first season that has no machinima in it. It's all completely animated. And it follows a new group of characters and a couple old ones. But, you know, that's not a big deal because it doesn't really touch on them all that much. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it because I really want you guys to watch it. And it's and since Zero is so short, it's a quick watch. Because, you know, it's like 12, 15 minutes an episode. There's only going to be 8. And there's 6 right now. But what it is that it's basically just fight scenes the entire episode.
Oh, that's what I like.
But in a good way. And it kind of feels like an anime in a weird way.
So it's like a tournament arc.
No. But one of the villains has a knife that when she throws it, she can teleport to it.
That's rad as shit.
So she's Virgil.
No, Virgil doesn't.
And then they fight.
Actually,
they fight monsters and they have floating swords and stuff. It's weird, even for RVB, but I like it. The last 2 episodes, however, I would say kind of sucked ass. But that's for a very specific reason.
That can't be so.
It's kind of spoilerish.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna say it.
Wait, who's writing this season?
Who's writing? I don't know the exact writer, but I know the director is Torian Crawford, the guy from Death Battle.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Which is why the animation is so good. I don't know if he's like the writer, but he's the director. Let me look it up real quick.
We're on a time crunch. Do it quick.
Shut up.
Don't hit him with speedrun too much. We're gonna kill our time.
Let's see. Okay, so there's 4 writers. Torian is one of them. Then Noel Wiggins, Joshua Kazemi, and Ben Singer, the other guy from Death Battle. I don't know who Joshua Kazemi is, but I know that Noel works for RT Core and is like one of the behind-the-scenes people.
Okay.
Neat.
And then I think all Ben does is Death Battle and the Death Battle podcast, and then Torian is, you know, RVB now. He is RVB. at the moment, anyways. So.
This might be a bit of a leap of a question, but how would this compare to like seasons? Was it 9 through 11 of RVB?
8 through 10.
8 through 10.
I wouldn't say it's as good because as much as I do, this is the most excited I've been for RVB since season 13, and season 11 through 13 was not as good as 8 through 10. But I wouldn't say that 0 was better than 11 through 13. Because it's constant action, there's not a lot of story development, and when there is story, it's really cheesy and not well written. But I do really think that it's going in a good direction for not being like, oh, let's follow the same character around for 20 plus years. Let's tell a different story. And it looks cool with awesome fighting. I don't know. I do like it. It's different. That's the main reason why I like it. RVB has been needing something different for a long time, and this is it.
Yeah, it's about time that they at least changed it up. I've been thinking for a while they either need to kill it off or just do something completely different with it, because it was getting very stale for me. I haven't watched like the last 4 seasons.
And I wouldn't recommend watching them because they were absolute garbage.
Yeah. I think
there is one minor plot point in Zero that is brought up from like 15 through 17, but they immediately explain it, and it's not that big of a deal.
Okay. I think I'll look at Zero, but I don't know if I'll end up having anything to say about it. I'll probably just be like, oh, those fights are cool.
Same with me.
Yeah, that's basically it. Like I said, all new characters except for like 2. And I guess it's not really a big spoiler because they're in episode 1. It's Wash and Carolina.
I know Carolina was in the trailer. I don't remember if I saw Wash.
Those are the 2 returning characters. So none of the Reds and Blues are coming back.
Okay.
As far as we know.
Caboose shows up in the end.
Yeah, as far as we know. I know he's not, because Joel does not work for Rooster Teeth and will no longer voice Caboose.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, with all that, it's probably a good thing that they moved away from everyone, since, like, you know, half the people don't work for them anymore.
Red Team wins. Glory to the
Red Team won. Since Blue Team doesn't exist anymore.
Because one of Blue Team never worked for Rooster Teeth to begin with, and the other one left, and I think the other one was silently removed.
Yeah.
He shot him in the back of the head when he was working.
I don't know if they hate him that much.
It was weird because going a little bit off topic, but it's still Red versus Blue. They did a Red versus Blue death battle.
Oh yeah, I saw that happen.
And it was weird that Caboose wasn't voiced by Joel.
Yeah, I bet.
But everybody else was right. It just wasn't Caboose, and it was weird. But I mean, I'm gonna stop talking before I say something I shouldn't.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you watched anything else?
Not that I want to talk about.
Yeah, fair. Because I don't want to talk about it either. I guess I'll go next.
I nominate Piss Boy.
Is that a reference to my Steam name?
Is that your Steam name?
Because it would be Piss Girl then.
I didn't know that was your Steam name. I just said Piss Boy. Oh my god, okay, yeah, sure, it's you.
It is now.
Alright. I'll hammer out the YouTube stuff first because I feel like I'll spend more time with the one anime that I want to talk about. Because the other one everyone else is talking about, and I don't have much else to say except for that it's good. The first will be a music video, actually. Hakushi Hasegawa and his music video for Only You, which is literally straight up actually one of my favorite songs ever. Surprisingly, because I just found it on, like... I found one of his songs on Spotify's Discover Weekly, and then I was like, oh my god, this is pretty good. And then I went to end up following him and looking at his other albums, and I was like, yo, this song is sick!
Fire!
It's good. It's not much I can really say about it, outside of the fact that it's really fucking good, and it's like... It's jazzy in a way that, like, it has some sort of jazz elements, like the... Oh, I see what you're doing there. It's jazzy and it's chaotic in the most fun and best way possible. It has, like, this sort of, like, celebratory theme to it, and despite the fact that it's not in English, I think that from the visuals of the music video, the sounds of the instruments, and then just sort of the overall cheeriness of the track, you can kind of get a sense of what it's all about. I have watched this music video more times than I have counted. Highly recommend.
Oh wow, this is like a year old.
Yeah, it's not. The album wasn't released all that long ago. In fact, his latest album was released this year. Alongside that, I've also got a VTuber, surprisingly enough. So I don't actually watch many VTubers. There's 2 that I watch, and then 1 that has yet to debut that I'm really paying close attention to. Because
what does that mean?
They haven't debuted yet, but they have like their model and stuff, and they're an illustrator, and they'll post their art, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so fucking good.
Okay.
Yeah, this one specifically is Yueko, also known as Chai. She is like, alright, so you guys know about the Ada thing that VTubers will do every now and then?
No.
Okay.
I don't follow VTubers, so I wouldn't know.
Okay.
I only get VTuber clips on YouTube in my recommended, and I don't watch all of them.
I don't know if Yueko is the one who started it, or if this is just a thing that's always been around. I just happened to come across her. I came across Yueko in the form of a Twitter video in which she says Ada, and I can only describe the feeling that I had from hearing that as like, it was as if I took a healing potion that was so strong that my body couldn't handle it.
What?
I don't want to like search for the. Actually, I can try to search for it as I'm like talking about it.
Did it make you high? What the heck?
Like, that's the best way I can describe it, because outside of that, I don't know if I can properly convey the feeling that it gave me.
Oh my god, that's the weirdest description I've ever heard of anything ever.
Especially with you just hearing someone say something like that.
Ada is basically like a thing that anime moms will say, or something like that. Anime moms and
Okay,
like
this got weirder for me.
like older sisters or whatnot. And I didn't know anything about her, but I saw this one video and I couldn't handle it. Okay.
I'm weirded out by this.
Yeah. Well, of course, the reason I'm recommending her isn't just that video. It's just like the fact that 1, she's an incredible illustrator, and 2, her streams are like one of the most comforting things ever. In fact, they're so comfortable to watch that I almost fell asleep the last time I watched one. She has like basically like the perfect voice. Like it's basically just like an ASMR stream. And it has like this one track that plays that over and over, but it's also like really soothing. Then complements her, I guess, style, for lack of a better way of putting it. Her style of streaming. She was the first VTuber I actually managed to get into, surprisingly enough. And it's also thanks to her that the other VTuber that I watch is someone who I follow on Twitch. That being Gravity Dusty. But yeah, Yueko. On Twitch, fucking watch her. She's really good.
Okay.
Alright, Grant, what you got?
I'm not into VTubers, so I won't have any of those.
Well, it's basically just watching a stream, but there's like an icon. I mean, a moving figure in the corner.
It's like having a face cam, but it's not a face cam.
I know what VTubers are, I'm just not into them.
What, are you like anti-VTuber?
No, I just don't watch them.
He's an anti-VTuber.
Yeah.
Call me
Grant
what you
hates
want.
anime.
I'll be what I am.
He hates anime. Despises it.
So speaking of which, I was watching an anime.
I was hoping that'd be the transition.
Well, first of all, I just want to briefly mention Unisanis is now dead.
Unfortunately.
The channel is gone. It finished it, and they kept their word, and everything is gone. Except, strangely, the Twitter page. They locked it, but it's still up. And I still follow and can see their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's done. It's sad, and I had fun. But anyway, I watched Diamond is Unbreakable for JoJo.
Yes.
Man, that was actually insanely good.
Yeah.
Like,
Diamond is Unbreakable is always noted as like a lot of people's favorite part of JoJo.
yeah, it was. I really like how the stands in it were actually like getting complex, but none of them were just like, what was that? don't know if you guys heard that.
I did.
That was weird. But I like how the stands are getting like more and more complex, but weren't like getting super duper weird. They were all like pretty cool, except for maybe like one with the power lines. That was, or like the I don't even remember what it's called. The
Superfly.
What? Yeah, that one. That one I thought was just kind of odd, but other than that, all of them were like pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, part 3 they were still cool, but like kind of basic for the most part. But yeah, I'm not sure if I like part 4 or part 2 more, because I really love part 2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was definitely a good time, and it's interesting how it's like a different experience every part. Because I mean, they were just in the same town this time, and they're just meeting new people there instead of journeying across the world to stop someone or something, and then just like fighting people along the way. Like they would fight people, and then they'd be best friends.
Mm-hmm. It's slice of life, but it's also like JoJo, so there's still that element of horror and like, I guess violence.
I wouldn't say horror, but definitely violence.
It's kind of creepy. There's ghosts and shit.
I don't like creepy ghosts though.
Oh no, man! You turn around in an alleyway and there's a bunch of hands that grab you and drag you to wherever the fuck.
Well, at that point you're dead.
That's kind of spooky.
But anyway, that's only in like 3 episodes out of like what, a 35 episode part. Other than that, it's like not in it at all.
But it's there, and you're just like, ugh.
Also, I want to say that that was only a plot device so that they could actually like beat the bad guy.
That wasn't necessarily a plot
Like-
device. It was sort of just like a thing that existed to make things a bit more, like, way more cathartic at the end.
Yeah.
Because it came off
Yeah.
as just like, oh, this weird thing that happens in Morio. What a strange, bizarre town. A crazy, bizarre town, I should say.
Crazy, noisy,
A crazy,
bizarre town.
noisy, bizarre town, in fact. But then it became a thing where you realize at the end where the main villain is, and you're like, oh, ho, ho, we know what's happening here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, how great that Remy got the last say in that.
Yeah, that made me feel good. Also, Kira is, I think, the best villain so far in it that I've seen. He was my favorite.
Like, he's very much considered one of, if not the best villain of JoJo. Because
Really?
his motivation is literally like, because what is it? You have Dio, who's like, I'm going to conquer the world. You have Ultimate Cars, who's like, I'm going to be the ultimate being. Then you have Kira, who's just like, I just want to live a quiet life.
I just want to live a quiet life and kill people and take their hands.
Like, you get his motivation, but then you're just like, oh yeah, well, murdering people and taking their hands is a part of that quiet life, so
And then clip your fingernails when you kill someone.
they just grow really fast.
That was just weird.
But yeah, he's an incredible villain, and he's also got one of the best stands in the series, I would say.
Yeah, I think that he has my favorite Killer Queen. It was awesome.
Easily one of my favorite
But yeah,
like stand designs specifically.
But yeah, I really like that. I am like 6 episodes into part 5 right now, into Golden Wind, so I'm liking that too. But
Which I'm really excited for, because I said that Golden Wind is just straight up my favorite part of JoJo. And when I think of like the best moments from JoJo, a lot of them are Golden Wind.
so you wouldn't say your favorite is part 7, or would you? Because I know like everyone says like part 7 is their favorite.
Part 7 is the best part of JoJo, but my personal favorite would be part 5. And I think the majority of that comes from the fact that Bucciarati exists. But it's also the fights as well.
Yeah, I haven't gotten too much with Bucciarati, but I can see why people like him, but I don't think I'm far enough in to understand why he's like everyone's favorite. But I mean, I'm also at the very beginning of it.
Wait until you get to see like the baller ass shit that he does later on. Mostly like
I was thinking like I mean I've like just seen his stand with like the zippers and that kind of stuff, which I'm like, oh, that's cool, but he hasn't done anything like awesome with it yet. So yeah. But yeah, I liked it. It's fun.
Journey of JoJo is continuing, and you're getting close to finishing the anime.
Yeah, so I can actually watch it as it releases live when part 6 happens at some point.
Yeah, which I don't think it's going to be for a while, and I think that's for the better. And then I got one anime that's really worth talking about, and that is Golden Boy. You guys know about Golden Boy?
As opposed to Golden Wind?
No. You guys know about Golden Boy? Does the
You might have said something about it before, I'm not sure.
does the phrase "How do you like my swimming" remind you of anything?
No.
Should it?
Not for me.
Probably should.
Yeah,
I'm
not
not saying
me
that
either.
it should, but I'm just curious if it would. So here's
It absolutely did not.
Alright, so Golden Boy is about. Let me actually. I just realized I didn't write any notes for this, so let me really quickly just like pull up an overview of the series, or I should say the.
Nice. We were definitely prepared for
We were
this.
totally
This is the
prepared
part
for
that
this.
gets cut out.
This is the part that gets
I
cut
mean,
out.
you. I mean, when we're talking about preparation, I cannot be the one talking because if you just look at my notes and compare it to everyone else.
Yeah, you don't have any.
Because I know what I want to talk about. I don't have to write it down.
I mean, I know what I want to talk about too, but I'm stupid and I have the attention span of a goldfish.
Alright, I got the thing pulled up. So here's what Golden Boy is. So Golden Boy is about the story of a man named Kentaro Oe, who is someone who's just trying his best and then is secretly really fucking good in everything that he tries. So the plot is that Kentaro is a guy who basically just works part-time jobs and switches between them, and he was a Harvard, not a Harvard student, but a law student that dropped out of college after completing all of the requirements that he needed to graduate. And then basically the show is him going around taking all these jobs and trying to learn as many new things as he can. And if it was just that simple, then I would not be talking about it, probably.
I was gonna say, this sounds like a boring show.
Oh, it is the exact opposite of boring. So there is I'm sure you guys know of the debate between subs versus dubs, right?
Of course.
Yes.
This anime is best watched with the dub. In fact, I would
Really?
probably argue, probably not just because I haven't actually watched the sub, but I would probably argue, or there could be the argument made that the dub is just infinitely better than the sub. The reason why is because it is overacted in this way that is just the funniest shit.
Is it like? I take it it's like more than Part 2 JoJo.
Oh yeah.
Like
Here's the thing.
like it overtakes that because that's why I love Part 2 so much.
Let's see. Go to YouTube for me and look up Golden Boy swimming.
Oh boy.
That will do, because I think that's going to be the best way I can fully describe or like give you the gist of what's going on here.
When did this come out?
A fucking long time ago. Like this is like
'Cause it
early 2000s anime.
What the fuck?
You know what I mean when I say that's overacted to hell in the best way possible?
Yes.
So that is basically the tone of the entire show. And
Oh my
it would
God.
be too much if it wasn't for the fact that the animation was also like extremely over exaggerated. Like
Yeah.
it's hilarious, and it's just like I don't know if I could say much more than the fact that it is just one of, if not the most entertaining thing that I've seen so like of recent. It is just the funniest thing, and it is something that is greatly appreciated for what it is. Like I remember finishing it or watching like the first episode and being like, I hope the guy who voice acted Kentaro got a fucking raise.
I mean, with something like that, I would hope he does.
I I've known about this show for a very long time, but I never actually got around to watching it until I saw that it was on Crunchyroll. So I got around to finally watching it, and boy, I'm so glad I did. And I couldn't recommend it enough.
I love that kind of stuff so much. Like I said, that's why I love part 2 of JoJo so much. So that is something I'm actually interested in, because I love overacted and over the top, insane, stupid stuff like that.
Because you love part 2 so much, I would recommend this to you specifically, Grant. But I know Aiden, you would also have a great time with it.
Yes. And since I have your Crunchyroll, it makes it more likely that I will check it out.
I would hope so. I guess we're done with cutscenes. Holy shit, that was fast.
Yeah.
Speedrunning, remember?
Speedrun.
Strats. Let's get into the video game portion of this video game podcast now.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Sojuro. Sorry. Bad meme.
It was very
It's actually
bad.
not a bad meme.
Well,
Meme itself isn't bad. Me doing it was bad.
In this context, it was bad.
Yes, it was terrible in this context. Overall, it's not bad.
With the anime corner out of the way, should we go into Grant's DMC corner now?
What about the Yakuza corner? That's usually a good place to go to.
Yeah, the Yakuza corner is pretty good too. You want to do that?
Yeah, I'll go Yakuza corner first, and then drift it over into DMC Drive.
Charm dum dum dum.
Yes. But yeah, I don't even remember what I talked about last time we did this. That was ages ago. That was like an eternity ago.
Oh, yeah.
Don't say
But
that.
It was though.
It was yesterday.
No, but I'll keep going. But I think last time I started talking about Yakuza 5, I'm not sure if I had started it yet, but I
don't
did
think
it.
you did.
No, I think that's right when I stopped.
Yeah.
I took like a break and then played Ghost of Tsushima. And then, yeah, I came back to 5. 5 was really weird. I honestly don't know, like, where I would put it in the grand scheme of things, but it probably has the most complex plot of all of them so far. Outside of 0, but 0 was actually, like, at least easy to follow. But 5, you're you know, good old Kazuma Kiryu, the classic. He's back in business. But then you're also Akiyama, who is in 4, and there's also you play as you play as Kiryu's adopted daughter Haruka. You play as Saejima again, you know, the absolute slab of man that you were in 4. And then there's a new guy who really likes baseball. I honestly forgot his name. But he was actually really cool. This is the only game he's in though, so that's why. It was Shinada. His name is Shinada.
Never mind.
I really liked him, but he was barely in it. So yeah, but it was definitely the closest to 0 that I had played since, you know, playing Kiwami 1. Closest to 0 and just like how it looked and felt and that kind of stuff. I'd probably put it middle of the pack in terms of the actual story though. There was just times it got very, very complex and like everything was like crossing over. I didn't really fully understand everything until like until it all came together at the end. And even then there was still stuff I'm like, what is this? Like, well, what about this thing that happened? Like, how did that tie in? But I will say the ending is one of the best of it has one of the better endings of the series though. It was emotional and it made me I liked the ending. It was good.
Did you cry?
Almost.
That's fair.
It was very touching. But I just keep on the topic of Yakuzas and keep powering through.
Yeah. Because you...
Alright,
that was pretty quick. You want to talk about 6 as well, since you finished that?
Yeah. Well, once again, this is a speedrun.
The shortest episode in now loading history.
But, yeah, then right after that, I think I just went straight into 6. This one is in the Dragon Engine, so it's a lot. It was the first game in the Dragon Engine, same one as Kiwami 2, so there's no loading times going into buildings. no like wait times to go into fights. You just run around and punch people in the face, and it's awesome. And I love it. I love that kind of gameplay so much. And it takes, I want to say it takes place in 2016, so it's the most modern, at least up until Like a Dragon, which I assume takes place like 2020.
Did they all take place the time in which the game was released?
I think so.
That's cool.
Because the first one, Yakuza 1 takes place in 2005, and I think that's when the first one released. But, yeah. And the 6, it's not as complex. You're just playing as Kiryu, which I like sticking to just that. It was getting very, very convoluted with playing a ton of characters. But, it starts out, Haruka's hit by a car. Yeah, it kind of comes out of the gate fast. Actually, no, you're in jail. And then Haruka's hit by a car. And then you figure out what went down, all this kind of stuff, gang warfare, you know, the typical stuff. Yeah. But as it was announced before, like in lead up to the game, it was gonna be Kiryu's last game. And as we can see, Like a Dragon, it has new protagonists and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Eric Andre.
And yeah, Eric Andre. And it is definitely the closest, at least story-wise, experience to Zero that I've gotten in any of them, like hands down. It got close, I would say. The ending, the ending to 6 is actually probably the closest I've gotten to crying to a game in a while. It was very, very touching and an amazing way to wrap up Kiryu's saga in Yakuza.
Okay. I find it's really hard to... I can't think of many games where I can think about how the ending is almost or has made people cry.
Yakuza's done that to me 3 times now. So if you want that, play Yakuza.
Grant, why is the controller so wet?
Don't ask.
You say as your eyes are just red as hell.
There could be many reasons for this.
Oh.
I was
We won't go into
thinking
detail.
with tears specifically.
Yeah,
No
that's why I'll
other
leave it
bodily
ambiguous. It's up to the person to decide why.
Piss, I don't know.
There could be many answers in the Yakuza context for that could answer that question and actually be right.
So now all you have left is to play Like a Dragon.
Yeah, and I'll get to that after I do some other stuff. I still need to play Spider-Man.
Do it now.
Okay, I'll just leave the Discord call right now and go do it.
Let's go buy the game and be like, alright, Royce, I'm gone.
I already bought it.
Okay.
I got the launch edition. I haven't played it yet though. I pre-ordered it, got it day 1.
A man of preparation.
Yes. I bought Yakuza 6, I think, while I was still playing Yakuza 3.
Because you knew you'd get there.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Good shit.
Yes, it was very.
I'll talk about the entirety of DMC.
Oh, so I'm just going straight through
Might
this.
as well, because that's also a thing that I want to touch on. Given that I
yes, and I know that I will power through this quite fast because they are quite short.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me just run down the list. 1, it was fine. I see why people liked it. Honestly, I don't know if I see why people thought it was like a cult classic or something like that, or something that was like truly amazing. But I do get why it was fun, like at the time.
I'm pretty sure that mostly just boils down
it.
to the fact that it basically birthed the genre that it's in.
Yeah, I think it actually has. It also has to do with like that was in the game where like that was in the age where games were getting put out like nothing, and there was a lot of garbage. And for one to actually just be like semi-decent out of that really made it stand out.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what it was. But yeah, I see why people liked it. It was fine. Fixed cameras suck.
Yeah.
Combos were kind of weird. I was hoping for more with that. But overall, it was enjoyable. But then we take a hard U-turn into very terrible range. And we go to downtown Dumpster Town with Devil May Cry 2. And oh man, was that an experience. Oh man. But I don't even know where to start with this.
Stop about this.
Like, legit. What?
Maybe start with the story?
Or don't start at all.
The story or lack thereof. Literally, you start. There's this lady in a museum, and she's like, I don't even remember. She's like, pick something up, and all these demons just come out of nowhere, and then Dante like falls from the ceiling, like through the glass ceiling, and just like shoots everything, and then it's just like, you called, which I actually thought was kind of funny, but that's like where the humor ends in the game, surprisingly. After that, Dante is just trash.
Yeah.
They just like walk around as him in like this abandoned like small town in the middle of nowhere, and then you find this old lady. She's like, oh, the CEO of this company's the demon lord or something like that. He's taking over the world. They're just like, okay, I'll go stop him. Then you're like on this oil rig. Couldn't tell you why. You're just there. And then you blow up the oil rig and then keep going to this big city where you're fighting like zombie tanks and helicopters. Yes. Mm-hmm. You heard me correctly. Zombie tanks and zombie helicopters, and you fight a building. The tanks were terrible to fight because if you stand below their gun, they can't hit you. They can't even touch you. Helicopter, you just stand there and shoot, which is a common theme that I'll get back to. But yeah, you just keep going. The villain, I couldn't even tell you his name, other than that he has the stupidest voice I've ever heard in my entire life.
No, it's pretty fine until he gets super evil.
Yeah. That's the thing, though, is that's most of the time.
I was supposed to be king of the world. It's fucking incredible.
The thing is that he's evil most of the time, so that's how you hear him most of the time.
When he gets to like that weird, like, weird boisterous like quality to his voice, it's incredible.
I couldn't tell if I was supposed to take him seriously or not. It was insane. Oh man. But then like, what is it? Then you're climbing this building to fight him, which you fight him like in the middle of the game, which I thought was odd, and then you don't see him again until the end. And I don't know if the final boss is him turning into some kind of demon or he summons some kind of demon. I'm not sure. I was confused. I was ready to stop playing. It was... But yeah, that's kind of it in terms of story. I couldn't tell you all the details that happened because there were no details other than that stuff was just happening.
Yeah. Like,
without much explanation.
The plot of DMC2 is basically just Dante just goes on another job. And he doesn't care.
Yeah. And nothing in that is ever brought up again in any of the games. Which is probably for the best. Because there's not much that happened. But then, like, gameplay-wise, I would say I had more fun in the first 2 levels than I did for a lot of DMC1. But that's where the fun ended. Because after that, I realized you don't learn any combos or anything. You don't get new weapons. You get some swords. But their combos are exactly the same, and the only difference is their range. It says that they have different strength and power. That's a lie. They are all the same strength, so you just pick the longest reaching sword and go with it.
And even then, you don't actually have to use them, because you can literally just get through the entire game by shooting.
Yes, your guns are stupid OP. Like, you get a shotgun and what else do you get? I think you get a rocket launcher at one point, but I never used either of those because just the regular pistols, Ebony and Ivory, are just so broken and overpowered. There's no reason to use a sword throughout the entire thing. I have recorded several game clips throughout it of me just standing in the middle of a boss arena, shooting the boss as it does nothing. that's how most of my encounters went in the game, is just stand there, maybe jump around a little bit while just unloading into all the enemies. That's not how you do Devil May Cry.
Mm-hmm.
Devil May Cry is you have all these cool combos that you can like look sweet while doing. Well, they did add an interesting mechanic to it in that if you hit B while like near a wall or something, you like run off and do flips, but there was no point to that because there were no attacks that came out of it. It just looked cool, but it didn't add anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no reason to do it whatsoever. And the combos weren't really even combos. They were just point a stick in this direction and then you'll do something different.
Yeah, that's the weird part,
but like,
though, because I think if I'm remembering this right, the reason why the tech of the combo system was really fucking jank was because it had both the new combo system in which you have to do directions, but it also had the old combo system where it was based on the delay in which you do certain inputs.
Yeah, and the thing is, there was no way to know like what it was too. It laid more into the directional, and it laid a lot into the directional inputs. I could only tell you one that I ever actually learned, and it was like after 2 hits, tilt the stick to the right, and then delay, and then hit. Other than that, I couldn't figure out any other. I couldn't figure out how to do any others consistently. Because then it was just mash Y for me, or like probably most people that played it, mash X to shoot. But oh man, that game was a dumpster fire. I'm glad I never have to play that again. I'm not going back to play as Lucia or Trish, because Trish is a secret character.
Yeah, but I think the only way to get her is to go through both campaigns, if I remember right.
I think there's a secret code.
Yeah.
There's a secret code that you can use, which I won't. But the game did introduce the Blade Palace. I didn't play it in it because I wanted to get away from that game as fast as possible, but it invented it.
Mm-hmm.
It has 1,000 floors. But yeah. Well, then I moved on to DMC3, which was much more enjoyable. It actually had a modern feel to it. It wasn't just spam guns to win. It was actually put some thought into what you're doing. The combos weren't as complex as like the newer ones, but you can definitely see the foundation there for it. The one downside to the way I played it in the HD remastered collection, and that just pretty much was just an upscaled version of the base game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't learn until after I had bought it that the Switch edition actually was pretty different in that it added some very, very valuable mechanics, like switching your styles on the fly.
Yes.
And having access to all of your weapons at once instead of just 2.
Mm-hmm. That's the reason why I got it specifically on the Switch, because it had freestyle.
Yeah. I mean, I stuck to Swordmaster the whole time because that's what I play in 5.2 most of the time.
Mm.
But, like, one thing I'm disappointed in with only having 2 weapons is I really wanted to learn how to use the guitar weapon. I don't remember what it's called. But yeah, there's a guitar that will shoot like lightning balls. It looks awesome. It was something I really wanted to try out, but since it would take up a weapon slot and I didn't really know how to use it effectively, I would really only have one weapon that I could use if I got into a bind. And I didn't want to be limited to just that, so I just kind of had to put it off to the side, which is kind of disappointing.
What weapons did you use?
I used Rebellion and whatever the double swords are, the dual swords. I thought those swords were so much fun.
They were like one of my favorites.
Yeah. And then for guns, I think I just kept it to the pistols and the shotgun. Was there? I don't know if there was anything else for guns.
There was quite a bit actually. So there's Ebony and Ivory. There's Coyote.
Oh, there's 5 of both, aren't there?
Yeah, there's Coyote A.
Yeah.
There's a rifle, which was really weird.
There is, yeah. It's like a sniper.
Yeah, you picked it up. It's like, what the fuck? What is? Okay.
Yeah.
There's
I remember that.
Artemis, which by the way, that's the weapon of the.
Oh, that's like.
Yeah, that's the weapon of the boss from DMC5.
Yeah. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it took me a second to realize that, and I was like, oh.
Yeah,
and then,
that's cool.
Then there's the last one that you get, which is Kalina Ann.
Yeah. Yeah. I also like DMC3 because they introduced Virgil, and Virgil's like one of my favorite things in like anything now. He's so awesome.
That's the thing too, because I think I said this to you before, but in DMC1, Virgil was just kind of like oh, Dante has a brother. Oh, that sucks. That he's like dead now.
It's not even like pointed out that he has a brother. It's just kind of like
they say his name, but I think you said that you have to read a description of something to realize that that's his brother.
Yeah, they don't even say his name at all in it. It's just like the description of the amulet that you have, like the 2 pieces of the amulet. It says like for Dante and Virgil, but it doesn't like specify who Virgil is. But I think you can just kind of like assume from it that he's his brother, because I think it says that it's from their mother.
Yeah.
But other than that, you don't really know who Virgil is, and then like the only clue that Nilo Angelo is Virgil is he takes off his helmet, slicks back his hair, and he looks like him.
Which, how the fuck did Dante not... Okay. The thing was, like, I always thought, like... So, that was totally just Virgil's face. How did Dante not realize that until after he killed him? And then I was like, maybe it was just a thing where he was like, there's no way that's Virgil. Virgil, like, died or something. And then he saw the amulet, like, oh, no, that was Virgil.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, is it's more... I think he was thinking it was, like... that trying to like fool him or something like that, but then he saw the amulet, he's like, oh wait, that was...
Yeah, which would make more sense given that, you know, Trish exists.
Yeah. But like in one, like, he slicks back his hair, like, oh, if you like know who Virgil is, you're like, oh, that's Virgil. But Virgil wasn't a thing in one. Like, so no one had seen him before.
His name is mentioned like once, and then it's just like a brief thing. So I'm remembering right when this says like Virgil failed or something like that.
I'm not sure, but like when he slicks back his hair, it builds it up like it's some kind of moment, like, oh, that's Virgil, but you never see Virgil before that, like, and that was the first game to come out, so it's kind of like a really weird moment. But yeah, 3 does Virgil justice. He's awesome. I love him. But then I moved on to 4 Special Edition, which I'm still not fully done yet. I beat the game as Dante and Nero. Feels pretty much just like 5 in terms of the combat. Nero feels pretty much exactly the same, minus the double breakers.
And also minus like some extra Red Queen moves, which kept bothering the hell out of me as I was playing it. And I was like, oh my god, I just can't do that anymore.
Yeah, that was kind of annoying to figure out. Yeah, I don't really know how much I could say about 4 that doesn't also apply to 5, because they are, like, in terms of the gameplay, they are pretty similar. But you can definitely see, like, bridging the gap between 3 and 5, because it still has, like, the fixed camera stuff. It still has a lot of the problem solving, the backtracking, and the puzzles and figuring out all that kind of stuff. And the fact that Dante, when you play as Dante in it, you're literally just backtracking through the entire game.
Yeah. So 4, if I believe that it was rushed out when it was initially released, and they had all these different assets, they didn't have time to sort of make all of Dante's shit as far as like the environments, so you just go back, you fight the same bosses, and then weirdly enough you get like devil arms that are not at all related to the demons that you fight.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like, you fight the one in the forest, like the plant snake thing, and you get like fire gauntlets. I'm like, what? Like, that doesn't make much sense. They're like these metal gauntlets and boots, and like you beat the ice frog and you get the gun that has 666 different forms. I'm like, there's no connection there whatsoever. They're cool weapons, but I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Gameplay is great,
That's
especially that
really
dice
bad.
game, especially that savior fight.
Savior fight I wasn't too upset about as much as other people are, but that dice game really drove me crazy.
The first time you do
Though
it's like, oh, this is fine, weird, but sure, whatever. It's something you can get through if you know what you're doing. And then you do it multiple times, and it sucks.
Because on the last one, you have to land on a specific spot instead of just get to the end. So,
which I was happy when I realized that if you just landed on the gold, it takes you to the end of it. But the second I was like, all right, second to last mission, this should be good. And then I see multiple stages of the dice game. I think I lost a bit of my soul.
I didn't realize that the gold space takes you to the end until the last board.
Yeah, I did that as a try. Just I was like, what is gold gonna do if it doesn't have like a direct path to this one? I was like, oh, it takes you to the end. Let's go.
But yeah, Games Before was fine. I thought, yeah, I see what you mean now about like Dante's weapons were kind of disappointing or like not as cool.
It's more of that. I don't know if it's necessarily that the weapons aren't as cool. I think it's just that.
Well, they are very cool actually.
They're pretty cool, but like I think it's just because I'm so hyper fixated, or not hyper fixated, hyper used to the attack of 5's weapons that I can't use like Dante's like properly.
I could not use any of the gauntlets in any of the other games well because I'm so used to how fast Balrog is in 5.
Yeah, the entirety of like 4 playing as Dante has been like, oh, switch to Gilgamesh. Now press B so that you can do your air kicks and TP up and continue your air combo. And it's like, nope, you just go straight to the ground.
Yeah,
like, oh, right.
That was my problem with a lot of them too. Is that pretty much all of them, other than 5, if you hit attack in the air, you just go straight down.
Which I want to learn his stuff, but the void wasn't a thing until 5, which makes me very sad. So I've tried practicing in the Bloody Palace, but it's still like you need to spend a second to be like, okay, this input does this input does that. I can do this while here, stuff like that. I mean, Nero I can get used to because it's basically just Nero, but you have less tech. And then you have the other playable characters, which I guess we could talk about that next.
I haven't actually played as Lady and Trish yet.
Okay.
But I did play as Virgil.
He's fucking nuts!
Yes, and I love him.
I've finally like gotten used. It took me a second because I was like not used to him at all, and he's not as easy to get used to as I'd say Lady and Trish. But once you figure him out, you fucking wreck shit.
I think I actually figured him out like very fast.
I think actually I want to say didn't figure him out, but more of like I wasn't good enough to play him. I'd say.
The thing with me and that I've noticed with those is that I can like get good with them, but I won't be like I can get like good with them fast, but I will never be like amazing as anyone in Devil May Cry. Like I can actually get some like good enough combos to get to like an S rank or something like that, but I don't really know where I'm going with this, but like I won't like pull like these insane combos out of nowhere. Like I'll have a few that I use, but nothing that'll be like super duper like stunning. Like I can't figure out how to use that judgment cut effectively.
Just figure out how the timing for the perfect judgment cuts, then that will wreck shit.
I can't.
And then you gotta wait until you get into 5, where it's like, oh, now you can do it multiple times, but holy shit, is it hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Virgil is great. He's the only character who I've managed to get past, what is it, not Balrog. I keep forgetting his name. Burial? The fire demon, the first boss that you fight in?
Yeah, I think it's Burial.
Yeah. He's the only one I was able to get past him because I figured out how his trick like specifically works, and I was able to dodge a lot of attacks that kept fucking me up.
Yeah.
And then,
but like,
go ahead.
Like playing as Virgil, like the first time I had actually played as Virgil was when he came out in 5. I just was so excited to play him, so I just hopped in and just did a little bit, and I like. Everything for whatever reason just like clicked instantly, and I was just like pulling out like triple S combos out of nowhere, like within seriously like the first few levels I had played as him. So I don't know what it was. I just like was good with him instantly. But yeah, there's stuff like judgment cuts and all that jazz that I just can't figure out.
I think it's just because he has infinitely more tech in 4 than he has in 3. Which 3 I was really quick to like. I was so much better with Virgil in 3 than I was with Dante. And I think part of that comes down to the actual specific weapons and the fact that you have all the weapons, and I'm not used to switching to like from like maybe the first weapon to like the 5th immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
Once you figure him out, he's great. And then there's also Lady and Trish, which are... I can't tell if I prefer playing as Lady or if I prefer playing as Virgil. As far as like all the playable characters in 5. I mean in 4. So Lady's thing is that she's all guns. So...
That does not sound like my kind of character.
Which doesn't sound like it should work, but it does. It's
like I feel like I use guns way less than I should.
Yeah. The thing about her is that so you have Kalina Ann, of course. You've got I think it's literally just called like shotgun. But you have a shotgun.
That's boring.
And then you have her 2 pistols. I think they're also boring, just called like 9mm pistols. And her thing is all about charging your shots and also sort of managing like which abilities which guns you're using and how you're using them. So it's sort of like, it's weird to put it this way, but it's almost like a management game where it's like, do I keep shooting this one enemy specifically so that I can get that last like explosive shot at the end and do a lot of damage to them and keep myself open to anyone else that wants to attack me, or do I want to cut that down and then maybe just like shotgun stinger and do ground zero so I shoot the enemy and then blast myself backwards so I can get away from everything. It sort of becomes a matter of like not just it's very important what abilities you're using and then how you're using them and then for how long you're using them. And I think
I can tell you from that description I would absolutely suck.
Yeah,
I suck at managing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun to play her. And it's a really nice change of pace that I think is super good. Because, like I said, it sounds like it shouldn't work given that DMC is all about the swords and, like, the guns to help be more stylish. But Gunslinger, the character, is pretty fucking sick.
Yeah.
And then you have Trish, who the literal best way that I can put her, that I can describe her, is that she is an electric powerhouse. I find it, I think it's hard. I haven't seen much footage of people being super stylish with her, but I've gone to figure out like sort of her tech, where basically what she has is she has the Devil Sword Sparta, that is her, that you use the stylo button to use. Then her regular attacks are basically her bare fists, where she punches and kicks things. And then she basically is essentially using like a fighting weapon, like a punch-kick weapon, as her default, with her style being her the Devil Sword Sparta, which you can throw, or you can use a round trip, and that will open you up to use like specific attacks, and then you can use those and charge those up, and you can just watch as you do all this shit, and you watch as your screen just becomes yellow with all the electricity that's around. She's actually really fucking fun. And I really enjoy playing her. I don't know if there's much else to say about it outside of the fact that she's sort of just like the crowd control character, and watching you do all this big shit is incredible. The only thing I'm sad about is that her devil trigger is literally just that she starts glowing yellow when she puts on sunglasses, which is super lame.
That's boring.
It's not like a demonic form or a stando power as Nero has.
Yeah. Wait, what's Lady's devil trigger? Does she have one?
She doesn't, but what she has is that what replaces her DT is like a big like explosion attack where she throws a bunch of grenades around her and blows up everything, and it charges like a DT. Cool. Which is super useful when you have to fight like really tough enemies that are hard to manage against. So you would just, in the Bloody Palace, just jump in the middle of them, do that, blow up everything, and kill maybe one of them, and then make things easier to manage.
It sounds like all of Virgil's super moves in 5.
Yeah, if you thought Virgil was broken in 4, wait until you see him in 5. Holy shit.
He's so much fun. Which I've learned in 5 playing through the campaign is him. These bosses are either really easy or really hard if you're not V.
Yeah, I heard that Nidhogg is insanely painful when you play as Virgil.
It is awful. because that fight is designed like you're fighting multiple like the tentacles at a time. Well, you can't do that as Virgil because you're one person.
And you're also not attacking from a distance.
Yeah. So it is terrible. But then the first time you fight Cavalier Angelo when he's on the horse, that's a cakewalk. Because you can just warp to him. You can just warp to him and hit him. But yeah, Virgil's awesome in it.
I think that's all for DMC4. This story, but it's alright.
Yeah, and you have talked plenty about DMC5 before.
Yeah. Great. Aiden, how are you doing over there?
Oh, you know.
You want to play DMC5 at this point?
At this point, I feel like I know enough that I don't have to. It sounds like fun, but...
It's the playing that makes the experience, not the story. Literally.
Though 3 and 5 have excellent stories.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll add it to my long list of games I need to go back and play. In fact, I think it's already on there. So, you know.
We just played through 7 games.
Yeah, we did.
Right there.
Aiden, talk about games now. It is your time to shine. Because you've been absent. Though? You've been absent because we've been in the DMC corner.
We've been in DMC Drive and just straight out of Yakuza corner.
Was way bigger than I thought it was going to be.
It is 4 games.
It's 5 games, so
5 games. 4 we were talking about.
What happened to speedrunning? That's my next question.
Well, we went through 5 games pretty quick, actually, compared to how we usually do it.
True. Alright, what do
we went through 7 games right there, so...
What do I want to talk about?
Let's talk about...
I have 5 games on my list, but I'm going to skip over one of them because we already kind of talked about it.
727, oh boy.
Yeah, I said that.
I was just looking at you.
Let's start with the Survivalists. You guys ever heard of the Escapists?
Yes.
It's made by the same people. But instead of escaping a prison, you survive on an island. And the whole point of the game is to find a boat, make monkey slaves, and escape.
As you do.
It's actually... it's weird, monkey slaves. Slaves might be a bit harsh, but...
You don't enslave monkey enslave you.
Monkeys do the bitch work.
Okay. Sure.
It's weird. Like you feed them and they work for you.
But does that make everyday Funky Monkey Friday?
Sure.
Only once you get them.
Nice.
It's fun. I think it's 4-player co-op. I've played it with Tyler, and we only played once, but we played for like 5 or 8 hours. I don't remember. We played it in one session all day. It was fun. The only time we've played it so far was the day it came out, and I think they've added new stuff since then, and I don't know what it is, so I really want to play it again.
How much is it? Hello?
I don't remember.
I was gonna say, did I break you or something?
Somewhere between 20 and 40, I think.
Interesting.
Because it's not like a big AAA game, but it's also not a small indie. It's still an indie game, but it's not like a small indie game, I would say.
I will consider.
So, it's fun. It's fun.
Because I like the Escapists.
It's lots of like dungeon crawling and fighting things and exploration. It's a lot of fun. I think you would like it, Grant, a lot.
Nice.
Tyler and I actually want to start over in the near future, so consider getting it.
I will. I like the Escapists, so having a game similar to that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Besides that, I don't have much else to say about the Survivalists. It kind of speaks for itself. You just kind of survive, and then, you use the monkeys to escape on the big boat at the end, which we haven't done yet. But we're going to start over anyway, so it doesn't matter. Let's talk about a game from 2012, yeah?
Yeah.
Halo 4. On PC.
Something I think is underrated.
It's
and
fine.
You're right. It is.
Says the former hater of Halo 4.
I wouldn't say I was a hater. It wasn't up there. I'm a hater of Halo 5.
That I feel like is fair.
I just didn't think Halo was up to par with Bungie Halo. You know?
Yeah. I think that Halo 5 is fine, but I absolutely understand why everyone hates it.
Isn't that the one where
Halo
they introduced, like, you can't customize your character, you have to use presets?
No.
That's
but it has, like...
that's kind of the upcoming controversy with Infinite, but
if you can't customize your character, what's the point?
I mean, it's still customization, but it's... Well, wait,
Has to do with colors.
Are you thinking of when MCC launched, where you couldn't customize your armor, you could only use preset armors?
Was that only MCC?
It was it was when it first came out, but they've gone back and reverted it.
Okay.
And have since added new armors to some games too.
Alright.
Which I don't think they should have done for the Halo Online armor, but that's a different story for a different day.
Yes, it is.
Halo 4 looks good, plays great. I played it. I don't normally play games on my PC at 4K, but I decided to play Halo 4 at 4K 60 FPS, and it looks beautiful. I still think that the weapon sound design is iffy at best, but that's really my only problem with it. Besides, I hate. There's one thing for the campaign that I hate. When you encounter the Prometheans for the first time, you just pick up their weapons and you use them like you've seen them your entire life.
Yes.
I hate that. That's the one thing I hated with the campaign.
That was the thing that most people would always say with like shooters, like, oh, just pick up this gun. You've used this before totally easily.
At least with Combat Evolved, the Human Covenant War had been going on for at least 20 years prior.
True. Because the Prometheans
at least in like real life, you would think that they would at least know what the enemy weapon looks like and like how it would function, but I think like in some capacity.
Yeah, but I think with the Prometheans, they were specifically made as like, these guys have never been seen before. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they were.
Yep.
That's why it's so weird.
Because you just pick up the light rifle and you just start shooting it like a battle rifle, and it makes total sense until you zoom in and then it shoots one bullet instead of 3.
Which, by the way, I fucking love the battle rifle. I mean, the light rifle. The sound design of when you shoot and zoomed in is... Oh, yeah. It's pretty good.
But yeah, it looks good. Looks great. I think I'm enjoying it more now than it did when it first came out.
We should do the multiplayer sometime. I want to do Halo 4 multiplayer again.
We should.
How about after this?
No, I have to go to work in the morning.
Oh, you sorry.
I mean, there's not much I can say about a 12-year-old game that we've probably already talked about before when we talked about the MCC in the past.
Yeah, probably at some point.
So we're going to move on to a different shooter. Who likes Call of Duty? Not me.
Not me.
Actually, I love Call of Duty. Certain Call of Duty. Call of Duty Cold War. Cold War. It's more of a Black Ops game than 3 and 4. If that makes sense.
I completely get where you're coming from.
Because what is
the campaign? The campaign I think was actually really, really good. I think it was really good. It takes place after 1, but before the events of 2.
Yeah, it's in a really weird place in the timeline because
it is
a sequel, but not really.
Exactly, and it also sets up a potential sequel that I don't know if it will be resolved in Warzone, like kind of like what Modern Warfare 2019 did, or if it's going to be like another, like if the next Black Ops is going to continue the Cold War story, because the ending very well sets up a sequel. Because in the end, you don't actually get the bad guy. The bad guy gets away. Spoiler.
Spoilers.
Let's see. It takes place between 1 and 2, so you'd expect Woods and Mason to be there, right?
You wouldn't expect Woods.
They are.
Because I saw the trailer and I saw Woods in there. I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah, they don't really touch on that.
Does he just kind of come up? It's like, oh, you're alive. He's like, yeah, what's up? All right, let's go on this mission.
No. The game starts. You're playing as Mason, and you're in a bar with the new character Adler, and then you go outside the bar, and Woods is just there pulling MP5s out of the trunk of a car, and that's it.
Fuck?
They don't touch on it at all. No, they don't. And I'm fine with that because it's Woods, and Woods is a badass.
Yeah, he is.
where was I going with that? Oh yeah, Woods and Mason are in the game. So is Hudson, but Hudson. The game is not about them. Apparently, there was. I'm not gonna talk about that. I don't know enough about it. But it's not a Mason and Woods game. They're in the game, and you play as Mason, I think, 3 times, but you follow a cast of new characters, which I think is interesting. Adler being kind of like the main one, then the character you play as Belle, which you can choose to be male, female, or non-binary, and then you can choose like what country you come from and what your background is, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, that's actually some character customization in that. That's interesting.
It means absolutely nothing, because you can't see yourself and you don't talk, but... or, well, you do talk, but there's no voice lines, because they're like dialogue trees, which is kind of weird for a Call of Duty game, but...
So you're Roach, but you actually get to choose the gender and whatnot of Roach?
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
It's fun. There's 3 different endings. Obviously, only one of them is the quote canonical ending, and that's where you stop the nukes, because there are nukes, of course. Probably my favorite not canon ending is where... I don't know if I want to spoil that, though. Do you guys care?
I mean, I might play it at some point.
I don't think it's funny. I think it's just cool and badass.
Your call.
Grant, are you gonna play it at all?
Maybe.
All right, I won't do it.
I don't know.
I won't do it. It's your decision. If you might play it, I won't say it.
I might play it.
All right, I won't say it. It's just really cool. Keisha, if you want to know, I can just tell you after.
Okay.
But there's 3 different endings. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, it's fun. You really only play as Mason in what's considered like these side missions, and the only way to complete the side missions is to actually collect intel from the main missions, which is really cool. And they're actually kind of like puzzles and whatnot, or at least one of them is. Like you have to identify a target and then eliminate the target and not the wrong person.
It has more mechanics than just run around, shoot the enemy.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like they almost.
That's what I liked about Black Ops 2.
It's almost like they put effort into this Black Ops.
Yeah, that's what I liked about Black Ops 2, is that it was more than just run around, shoot the enemy that you see.
As you're describing Cold War, it sounds like it's more close to Black Ops 2 than it is Black Ops 1.
Which is good, because I liked Black Ops 2 more than Black Ops 1. Not saying that Black Ops 1 was bad, I just like 2 better.
Yeah, that's fair.
Let's see what else. Mason. I don't like what they did to my boy.
Oh boy, what have they done to my boy?
He does not look or sound like Mason at all.
Oh, great.
Which is fine, because when you do see him, there's only one mission that you play in where Mason is that you're not Mason. So it's not a big deal. But there are a couple missions where you do play as Mason, so you don't have to see him, you just have to hear it sometimes. And it's not that bad.
oh god.
You see what they did to my boy?
I looked at a picture and I'm like, that's not the same person. That is an entirely different man.
No, it's not.
They gave this boy a widow's peak. They turned him into Vegeta.
It looks like does not look
it
right.
looks like just some guy that they were like, hey, shape your hair like your beard like this, and then you're good.
At least Woods looks. They get a new voice actor for Woods, but at least the new voice actor sounds like Woods.
This is not right.
Like originally, I couldn't tell that they got a different voice actor for Woods. So, and you don't mess up Woods. Woods looks right. Woods sounds right.
So it's like, yeah. So I feel like Woods is probably more like Price, when it's like, okay, it's not the same person, but it sounds like Price.
I had the issue with the new Price's voice, but I got over it quickly. I don't think I'll get over Mason, though, because it's not like Cold War was a reboot of the entire series like Modern Warfare 2019
Yeah, no,
was.
they massacred my boy.
He looks just so wrong.
Yeah.
You'd be like, you look at him and you're like, who's the new guy?
It's sad. Yeah, so they're in it, but they're not like the main focus of the story. Besides that, zombies, I actually like zombies. It kind of the first map is small. It takes the original map from World at War, but makes it like bigger and adds like an underground facility with like a particle accelerator in it.
Ooh.
And zombies. You don't start with pistols. You can actually start with a loadout now, which I think is kind of weird.
I think you could do that in Black Ops 4.
I don't think so. I don't remember that.
I didn't care about it.
I played a decent amount. No, you could customize your wall weapon. You could customize wall weapons.
That was it.
Okay.
That was it.
It was one of them that you could start with the loadout. I just heard it was terrible because it was just broken.
Yeah, that's kind of not at all the point of zombies.
It does make zombies a little easier, but I think it's fine because I feel the difficulty ramps up faster because of that.
Okay.
That'd be a good way to balance it.
So it's fine. And playing zombies, and I don't know if this was the case in like 3 or 4, will actually level you up and level up the battle pass too.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
So I might level up the battle pass playing exclusively zombies.
That sounds like something I would do.
That sounds like
see.
a more reason to play zombies outside of the fact that it's fun, which is always welcome.
Yeah. Like, I would like to have a full squad to play it more often. Like, I'll get, like, 1 or 2 people every now and then, but it's not the same without, like, a full squad.
Cold War's... I assume you have it on PC.
Yes, but it is crossplay with everything.
Okay, yeah. Modern Warfare was too. So
Let's see. Multiplayer, it's Call of Duty.
enough said.
Warzone, it's actually the Black Ops and the Modern Warfare characters in the same game, which is really fucking weird seeing Captain Price execute Woods in the middle of Russia.
Yeah. What are you saying that didn't happen?
Yeah, that was canon.
Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying. But probably the most important thing with Cold War is that it bridges the gap between Modern Warfare 2019 and all of Black Ops into one big story.
Yeah, those are
That's
all
interesting.
together in the same timeline now, aren't they?
Yes.
That's cool.
Burger Town was kind of a hint. Warzone, the Black Ops Warzone is like a prequel to the Modern Warfare Warzone, and then a Modern Warfare character just straight up in Cold War. So,
Really?
yes, he wasn't actually in Modern Warfare 19, but he was in the original Modern Warfare.
Is it Soap?
No, Zakayev.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Soap was actually just teased at the end of Modern Warfare
'cause
Warzone,
I played the Modern
setting
Warfare-
up for Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, because I remember playing the the Modern Warfare Remastered campaign and being like, what? Really? Soap just gets a name drop? Okay. And then realizing that, oh, Zakaya's not in this.
Yeah, I think Zakayev like died of like a heart attack before Modern Warfare started, but he's in Cold War. So,
All right.
What a way to go.
Way to go.
I mean, it's rumored that he's still alive, but that's just what Infinity Ward has said, that he died of a heart attack. So, because there's like also evidence claiming that he isn't, but we don't know for sure. Not the point. And we're gonna move on to my last game. We're gonna talk about a VR game because I don't think I've ever talked about a VR game on the podcast before.
You probably have,
I think
but
you
we probably forgot.
You have before,
Which
but I'm forgetting
Game.
the name of it. It was a Star Wars thing?
I just said we probably forgot.
Oh, Vader Immortal. That doesn't count. That's more of an experience.
Alright.
Blade and Sorcery. It's probably the most fun I've ever had playing a VR game. Because it's literally
Really?
just Medieval Gladiator Simulator 2018.
I'm looking at the first
pretty
thing that you
great.
put on your notes. I'm like, so Left 4 Dead. And the first thing in your notes, it says it's like Left 4 Dead 2, but it's all about the mods. I'm like, so it's Left 4 Dead 2?
Yes. Well, the game is still in early access, so there's not a lot to do. It's the mods that keep bringing me back. Like,
It's pretty great.
I have Star Wars mods, obviously. Lightsabers, it's cool. But I also have a Halo mod. So, like, I'm shooting at, like, Sith, but with, like, a Halo SMG. And then when I run out of ammo, I just whip out a gravity hammer and send them flying across the map. It's great.
The gravity hammer is so hard to use in that.
It is, but it's so much fun.
It is.
And then you can also, in the Halo mod, you can, like, actually fire the Halo ring with the index. It's cool, and it'll start playing like the Warthog Run music from Halo 3. It's really fun. It lagged the hell out of my game that I had to restart it, but it was cool. The game is
Halo
not
Ring
really
destroyed your game.
Blade and Sorcery is not really well optimized because it's a early access VR game that's very like dependent on like ragdoll physics, and that can like lag the game when you have a bunch of like decimated bodies in a pile.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. I think in the game itself, it's only like 6 maps.
You can get a lot with mods, though.
Oh yeah, I have a Jedi Outcast map pack.
That's awesome.
Which adds like, I think 30 Jedi Outcast maps.
No way.
It's a lot.
I want to see this so bad.
The AI pathing and spawning are so broken in that. Like,
yes, they are.
You'll play it like specifically in the Outcast map pack. Like if you'll fight like, I don't know, 15 enemies, and then they'll just stop spawning. So
I
like,
love Outcast so much, so I need to see this map pack.
It's cool. It's a lot.
Because I don't have it, and yeah, I haven't played Blade and Sorcery in a very long time.
It's so much fun. I just wish I had like more physical space to play it. That's really the only reason I'm not playing it more often. It's really all
My computer just
that.
needs more RAM, and it would run VR just fine.
Just download more RAM.
Yeah.
Just download it. Yeah.
Download moreram.com.
Just like freepunjabimovie2018.com.
I think that's all I've got.
Now, do you have the Star Wars pack that gives you all the lightsabers, including like Pong Krells?
Yes.
That thing is huge.
It is. It's weird.
Yes.
There are also lightsabers in there from characters that I've never heard of before.
Yes.
I assume they're like strictly like novel book characters or something.
I think so, yeah.
Where did they get the description of the lightsaber hilts? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. But it is fun to use double-bladed lightsabers in that one. I've come up with my own cool combos.
It is. It's very much fun. I haven't found any other good mods outside the lightsaber mod and the Halo mod to be, at least for the version that I was playing in. Like, none of the other good-looking mods have been updated by then.
There is one that's pretty good for Kratos' Leviathan axe.
I did see that one, but I think it was one version behind, so I didn't download it. It might be up to date now.
It is very cool because it just feels so satisfying to throw the axe at someone, have it hit, and then just pull it back to you, and then hit someone else with it.
It looked like so much fun.
Like there was times I would throw it at someone and then just leave it there until another group caught up. So I would throw it at someone and then just like start fighting someone else, and I'd see like I would start to get surrounded, so I'd pull it back and it would hit all the people. And
I think when I started modding it, it was like right after I think it was update 0.7 came out, so very few mods had updated.
Yeah.
So I think it was 0.7 anyways. I don't know. All in all, if you have VR and you want to like delimb and decapitate people, get that. It's good for it.
Yeah.
And it's very, very like satisfying.
Yes.
Nice.
Like it's a good way to take your anger out by killing someone that's not real.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet you could find something like
because you can brutally beat people up with just your bare fists and throw them off a cliff and rip their head off. It's great.
I bet you could find a really cool like Yamato mod. That would be awesome.
Ooh. Oh, that would be sick.
Because there's some Bloodborne weapons in it that literally like are one-to-one recreations of them, including like how they transform. It's awesome.
Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
so just spend like a couple $100 on a VR headset and play it. It's great.
Yeah.
I've got 3 games, but they should all be very quick. The first one's gonna have to be very quick because there's a lot of spoilery shit in there. So
Speedrun, let's go.
So I continued playing Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair. And I think last time I talked about it, I was just getting close to the first murder. And now, at this point, I've gone through both the first trial and the second trial. So, first trial was fairly similar to the first trial of the first game, in which it's like, oh yeah, it's pretty obvious who's gonna die. Not necessarily like because of like the way that people were acting in the game, but more so the fact that when you look at the roster of Danganronpa 2 compared to 1, you're like, oh yeah, he's dead. But it is definitely ramping up things to make it so that it's not super obvious who the murderer is. A problem that I had with the first trial of the first game was that it was super obvious who was going to be the murderer, and then once you actually did the investigation, there is one clue that it just says who the murderer is, and it pretends like that's not the case. But with the Danganronpa trials in both games thus far, it's always been a thing where the full story of what happened and also why someone would murder someone else is revealed during the trial, and then by the time you get to actually figuring out who the murderer is, then that's when the full story basically comes out. The game has done a much better job. Actually, I don't want to say it's done a much better job, but it's continued the act of, okay, I have no idea who it is, but I have ideas, and then surprising you with who the actual murderer is. It gets really interesting with the first one, because I remember the first murder trial being like, okay, so this is where people were, here's who I think it might be, and then I was one person who I was like, it could be this person, but I doubt that's the case, and then they were the murderer. And then getting them...
So exactly not what you were thinking.
Yeah. Which it does a good job of making it so that it's never the most obvious choice, and instead it's a completely different person for reasons unknown until you establish that, yeah, this person killed them. The reasons for the murder of the first trial were pretty upsetting, but nothing that I couldn't like overcome, I would say. Because with Danganronpa 1, I think there was only 2 deaths that were upsetting. No, 3 deaths. And it continues that sort of trend in the second game. And then I got to the second trial, which by the time we got to the execution, I was like actually literally depressed. Like, I was fucked up for the entire next day because of that.
Take it easy, it's just a game.
Oh, you don't know. I can't say exactly what, but it's just...
I do know, I've played Yakuza.
Yeah. So, like, with Danganronpa 1, I've never actually, like, gone that upset over it, except for, like, realizing why the death of one trial was, and being like, man, that sucks, that's shit, that makes me feel bad. This game ramps that up way the fuck up. And it makes it interesting because the big reveals of Danganronpa 1 are basically established in the second game, like, very early on. Like, yeah, this is basically what's going on. Like, it's treated like this normal thing, and they even make a joke of, like, yeah, can you imagine that being, like, the reveal of a game? That'd be so dumb. And it's like, you literally, like, they're poking fun that they did that in the other game. So it makes me really interested to see what's going on there. And even if it's not as interesting when it comes to, like, the reveals regarding why you're on this island and why things are all the way they are, the trials themselves are fucking insane. I'm surprised that... I won't say I'm surprised, but I'm glad that the trials are equally as good with this game as they were with the other. And it feels like it's always just a constant, like, I have no idea who did it, and then, like, it does a bunch of time. It happens multiple times where you think you know who the murderer is, but then something gets revealed and it's like, okay, yeah, no, they got a really solid alibi now. It's also done a great job of cementing characters and making them much more appealing to me. Like, the second trial, there was a character named Fuyuhiko who's very involved in it, or I should say involved in it. And by the end of that trial, I was hyper invested with him. I was like, please, I want you to survive till the end. I can't say much else. Oh yeah, I did also want to say that the music is pretty good. It's not as good as the first track, and I think that, I mean, the first game's soundtrack, but I think that just comes down to personal preference. But music's still good. There's still that theme of person gets fucking executed. The music's just like this party music, essentially.
Yeah, it's like breaking down.
Yeah.
It's like groovy.
Yeah.
You showed me that. I'm like, this is not fit at all, but I like it.
Yeah, the investigation music. You need to find out who he kills him. Insert guitar solo here.
Or like dancing down the hallway.
Yeah. But yeah, game's good. I am terrified to continue it because, like I said, the second trial got me like literally actually depressed. I told my friend who got me into the series that, and he's like, "Oh, it gets worse." I'm like, "Oh no." So it's gonna be rough, but I want to really see what else is going on there. Excellent game. Then real quick, I also got Darkwood next, which not much else to say. I reached the Silent Forest, which I believe was the goal last time I talked about it. So I got to get to the Wolfman's camp, which, by the way, he's fucking an awesome character. He's a dude with like a wolf head. It's incredible. I got to his thing. I got his quest that I can now take, and I also was able to get to the hideout of that region, of that area. Which apparently I think I understand the tech of the sort of nighttime. So I think I said before, but in the game you have to basically do everything during the day. Then once you get into the night, you have to get into your hideout. Otherwise, you will just straight up get murdered by like some unworldly thing. In the first hideout, it ramped up things where at first it was just like, oh, it's playing a bunch of sounds and it's trying to fuck with me. Oh man, oh boy, this is gonna be a long 5 minutes. Then it starts getting to the point where there are things in your house. And I think I talked about the experience where the only thing that was preventing me from getting just horribly axed was the fact that I was hiding behind a door and the monster couldn't get to me because I was stuck between a door and a bed. That game is getting much scarier, and I really just love that atmosphere. I think when I got to the second hideout, it wasn't as bad, so I'm assuming that it's just like the more days you spend without progressing the story, the more difficult and the more scary it gets when nighttime rolls around. I don't have much else to say outside of the fact that I'm really in agony because so one issue that I'm having with the game is that I have no like concrete or no reliable weapons. I went to the trouble of trying to gather the resources and survive multiple nights so that I'd be able to get the parts for a gun, like a handgun. And then I got all the parts and I was like, yes, I have acquired the blicky. And then I realized that I needed to upgrade my workbench one more time, so I couldn't actually make the thing. So I had to sell the parts that I spent so long trying to get, so I can upgrade the the workbench, and then I have to work to get the shit again. It's pain.
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. And the only reason why that's mostly upsetting though is because of the fact that I know that it's more time spent not progressing the story, probably, which would be more. That means that nighttime is going to be even more fucking terrifying, and I dread the thought. Still a fucking incredible game. I got nothing but good things to say about it. I can't wait to continue it. And then last but not least, I have Coffee Talk again. So I got through the second playthrough where it's basically revealed that, I'm pretty sure I said it before, but it's revealed at the end of the first playthrough that you basically have memories of multiple timelines. And then the second playthrough is all about the moments in which that fact that you do, like, slips out. And you say something like, oh, did you, what's going on with this person? And then you say their name, and then everyone's like, wait, how did you know what his name was? And you're like, I
think that's a good way of, with those kinds of games, with like, giving like a replay into it, is like the character just knows what happens in other like timelines.
Like the point of the in the first, like the ending of the first run is like, yeah, I have memories of multiple timelines. There were places where I fucked up people's drinks though, and then that's made a point. And then the second time that happens, it's like, yeah, I did still slip up the fact that I have this memory and stuff like that. Apparently there's a third playthrough because I saw the progress bar after I restarted the game and I saw that there's more there, but it's much shorter. So I'm really wondering what's going on there. Another thing to help me motivate myself to play through the game again is the fact that there was a voice mod that came out for it recently, which basically has voice acting for the first 4 characters of the game, that being the barista you play as, Freya, Lua, and Bailey's. And it's weird because of the fact that the barista is called barista, like that's their name. So anytime they refer to
How creative.
anytime they refer to you, they say barista, but they say like it's your name instead of like our barista or the barista or something like that, which is very weird, but hey, it's fine. But the voice acting for this mod is actually very fucking good, and I think that it manages to capture the personalities of the characters very well. It's a little weird though, because the way that Freya speaks, I imagine it to be very different than the way that they're interpreting with the mod, but it's fine. It's still very good voice acting and still very nice. It's definitely worth downloading to play the game. Though there are bits that, because of the fact that you're doing multiple playthroughs, like with there are moments where dialogue is said that's only in the second playthrough, I guess the third as well, since I'm doing that now, that there won't be any voice acting, so it's only just for the first playthrough that you'll get like every single bit of these characters' dialogues voice acted. But it's still pretty good. I mean, it's just something that adds a little bit more flair to a game that's already great. So yeah, that's really all I gotta say about that. I'm going to see what's going on with that third playthrough, and I'm going to get some voices. I'm going to be hearing some voices during it. I did have to adjust the volume of things and turn down the music, which was a little sad, but it's okay. It's great background music. In fact, I'm listening to the soundtrack as I'm talking right now. But yeah, that's Coffee Talk. Still a great game. Still, like, an antidepressant game as well.
You play that after you play Danganronpa?
I should have. I'm pretty sure I got through the second trial of like late at night, and I was like, it's not gonna fuck me up tomorrow, and then it did.
Gets you when you least expect it.
Oh man, guys, we're done.
No.
Clocking in at 1 hour and 47 minutes, almost 48.
That's got to be a new record.
It's not. The record right now is 106.
Yeah.
An hour and 6, and that's the very first episode of this podcast, and it's not even called Now Loading. So technically, it's a record.
It's post me.
Loading. Damn it.
Is it the record for post Grant?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think the first episode with Grant was 3 hours long.
Because we did not coordinate involving another person.
Yes.
No.
So this is a new record. So it's technically a new record for Now Loading, but also not.
It is for Now Loading, but not the podcast as a whole.
Yes, that's a better way to put it.
Not the entire history.
It does not account for the entire history of this podcast.
No, because episode 1 of the show that had no name at the time was just 2 idiots who didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that entire episode was just figuring out what the fuck we're doing.
Basically, now it's 3 idiots who have a vague idea of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Slightly more. One.
Exactly. Professionals. I'm ready to go take a piss.
I need to go to bed. I need to be at work at 5 in the morning.
Yeah. So thank you for listening, everybody. This has been Now Loading. We will see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Maybe.
Die.
Die. Just fucking die.
We'll be right back.